Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday. That means it's time for Tuesday Night Live with Rick and Brett from Chiro Destiny. And tonight, we have a superstar of chiropractic that has a story to tell. And I will tell my story first. I went to Life University, back then Life College. I got there in 1991. And I'm the typical beginning student, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, coming from a chiropractic family. And Eric is sort of active on the campus, and I had known some people who knew him, and he was the master of spinal screenings. And the next thing I know, I am clueless, and I'm getting a crash course in how to do spinal screenings, and he has me at some sort of track and field event. It's 8,000 billion degrees in Marietta, Georgia, and I am doing my first spinal screening. So my foray into chiropractic marketing was due to Eric Plasker. So Eric, great to see you. You look exactly the same as you did all those years ago. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Oh man, it's so good to be with you guys. And I love hearing those stories. So many people that I'm sad to say, I don't remember that particular story. We all remember our own versions of the stories. But, it was always great getting to know you and a lot of the students. And I still do it, by the way.
Yep.
And so, it's just exciting to be a part of their journey. And your dad was a part of my journey. Now I get to be a part of your journey. That's the way this profession is, man.
Best.
And my quick story is, Eric, the first time I met you was when you spoke for Larry's group 100 years ago. I think it was the Marks and Management Services, and you were on stage. And I think it was one of the first times you spoke, or, as you were bringing out the 100-year lifestyle or whatever it was in those days. First time I heard you speak, and I'm like, this guy's a rebel, but with a cause.
Absolutely, no question. And now I'm a rebel with a cause with like another 20 years experience.
Right, exactly. That's dangerous in a good way.
That's good.
So I just want to start this whole thing off because we want everybody to know what you've been up to, because you're like a superstar advocate for this profession, big time. And I mentioned before, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and all of a sudden I see Eric coming out and videotaping this, coming out of a Whole Foods. Must have been the other day, I think, right?
Saturday.
What I saw, okay, so he locks eyes with a gentleman. I guess they got to talking, and interviews him outside of Whole Foods after they just got done shopping. And I think this guy was a physician's assistant of some sort.
Correct.
And they started talking about the pandemic, the latest research, not wearing a mask, what we should be doing, how to get ourselves healthier. So here he has somebody on the medical side. And I thought it was just very, very interesting. And I'm just like, that's typical Eric, always advocating for the chiropractic profession. So to me, why don't we just jump in from there, and then we can talk more about the 100-year lifestyle and all of that as well. I thought it was very cool.
You can hear me, and I hope that I'm coming through.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Listen, I am who I am. I'm a warrior. Fortunately, like many of you, I have stories. I have reasons why, and my whys are deep and they're meaningful, and they're family related, and they're friend related, and they're near death related, bringing people back to life related. And I've seen the other side. And here I am, 57 years old. I've been in practice 35 years. I'm not on
freezing up.
Any medication, haven't been on. I get adjusted on a regular basis. I raised my family this way. I have 3 kids that were 2 of them born at home, never had a shot. None of them ever had a shot, never had drugs. Can't speak for college, but when they were in my house, they certainly didn't. And now they're all 3 of them chiropractors. And what's been interesting for me is I have woken up to wisdom. I've done a lot. I've done a lot of unique things. I've done things that some of them have never been done before. And I'm not saying it out of an ego place, but I realize that this wisdom that I have, just like your dad has wisdom from his unique experiences, Rick, and you want to, when they work and that they're good for the world and they're indisputable, whereas maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago, there were, there was a nice collection of wins, but there's always maybe a little bit of doubt that creeps in every now and then. I can tell you right now, I am 100% free from doubt. I know what I know.
Oh, freezing up.
I've embraced the wisdom, and to go on what you said. And I don't know.
Slight technical difficulties.
You froze up on us, huh?
Yeah. Uh-oh. Nothing we can do.
I think we lost him.
Did we lose him? You may have to.
Kimberly, just let us know. Is he frozen for you also?
Bear with us. Slight technical difficulties.
Do, 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 do.
Uh-oh. Did you hear from Kimberly?
He's out. So
Come
Brett.
Hey, we're back.
Hey, we're back to you, buddy.
Well, I only say, listen, whenever, oh, he's back, I think. Is he almost?
Hey, I'm back, guys. I don't know what's going on with my internet. I think we're just blowing it up, maybe, because
Yeah, that's
we
right.
don't usually have issues here, so I apologize.
That's
No
okay.
worries, no worries. It's all good.
So let's just jump into, obviously, not only do you have 3 kids that are in as chiropractors, which has to be the greatest thing that can happen to a father, I think, or to a mother who has spent their life in this profession with blood, sweat, and tears. To have all 3 kids go into the profession, it's got to be the greatest feeling in the world.
It is great, and I never pushed it on them. I promise. People ask me, "What you played subliminal tapes,
Yeah.
recordings?"
You
None
just
of that,
bribed
man.
them.
I actually, when they told me they were all planning on doing some different things, and they came to me, and for different reasons, they said, "You know what, Dad, I want to be a chiropractor." And I said, "Listen, do it for you. Don't do it for me, or you'll be a pain in the ass for the next 30 years. And I want you to enjoy your life." And so they chose it for themselves. And certainly we jumped on their team. We're really excited about it. I'm ecstatic about it. We went to Oregon, where my 2 older ones practiced. Jacob and Emily practiced together in Oregon. We made the big mistake, traveling out there way too much on the West Coast, and they liked it. And so we go out there to visit, and they just opened a brand new office I guess it was October or November, maybe, I guess it was. And it was just great to be there. And I said, "Son, would you like me to say a few words?" He said, "No, Dad, we got this." It was his show, and he did a great job. They did an amazing job. They're meeting beautiful people. And, I think what's important for any doctor watching this, relationships are so important. I mean, I know your dad for how many years, Rick, and I know you for how many years, and here we are, have a great relationship. And we as a profession, I think I was talking before, maybe I got cut off. We needed to be good stewards of the profession and take care of the students, but we need to take care of each other, and we need to look after each other, and we need to do it with authenticity, and not stab each other in the back, but have each other's back. And so, that's why I was honored to do this with you. Your dad always did that for me. I always looked after him, and I just think that's the right culture.
Right.
Before you said something about certainty, that and we work with a lot of chiropractors. We coach a lot of chiropractors, and especially the younger ones today, there's a lack of certainty. I don't like to use the word belief, because that's all, we all know that, but a lack of certainty. How would you, as a profession, what would you recommend to chiropractors that there is some doubt, more than just creeping in, especially with the pandemic and everything that's been happening recently? What are some things that chiropractors can do really to become more certain of who they are, what they're doing, this profession, and so forth, from your point of view?
It's a great question. I'm going to answer it 2 different ways, maybe 3 different ways. The first way is for the younger generation. I think the biggest challenge of the younger generation is they think they know and they don't.
Right. True.
And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with saying, "I don't know." There's nothing wrong with saying, "Man, I need some help, man. Help me figure this out." I'm only as smart as the people that I have helped help mentor me, and the people that I let help mentor me. And so I let them, I opened up to them. I wanted help. I wanted support. I was blessed with a lot of great mentors. So I would say to the younger generation, you need to open up to support, great coaching, great resources. That's the first way I'm going to answer the question. And you guys obviously are providing that great service. Another way that I'm going to answer the question is a paradigm shift for our profession. I do believe that one of the biggest challenges that we have in our industry, we've had it for a long time, but it is ever present today, is that we are a personality-based profession. That is a problem. What happens in the medical world today, the doctors have moved to the inside of the buildings, the brands are on the outside of the building, and they are marketing the brands, they are not marketing the people.
That's right.
And that is a big problem for our profession, because when we do that, everybody to stand out or to think they need to stand out has their own unique voice about what chiropractic is and what it isn't, their own little style, their own little version of it. And because of that, we have no collective voice in the world. That is a problem. We are trying to compete in a healthcare marketplace to stand out, which we should stand out. We should be leading, 100% leading, but we have no common voice. And so, you know, we're looking at each other as competitors, and nobody knows what chiropractic is. Nobody cares what chiropractic is. If they think they know, they're wrong.
Right.
And so we spend all of our time trying to undo misconceptions and redo things. And we have, in the last 10 years, we have worked very, very hard to change that, to go from a personality-based profession to a brand-based, mission-based, lifetime care for everyone-based message, that no matter what your technique, no matter how long you've been in school, that you can rely on that. You don't have to create anything. You could just focus on being the best chiropractor that you could be and do a great job with your people and build a great practice. And we're seeing that with brands in our profession that are owning practices. They're buying up practices. They're making cheapy brands, throwing another cheap or two that would make a Marxian leader of this profession really upset. It certainly makes me upset.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have minimum wage chiropractors working in there that don't stay for more than 6 months or 9 months or a year, and then they're gone, and there's no loyalty. There's no real care. And so what we've done with the 100-Year Lifestyle is we turn it from international best-selling books into a brand that is it's a high-end brand for chiropractors, where you don't have to give up percentages of your business, your income, or your growth. You own your business. You keep all the money. We co-brand with you, just like a sports league will co-brand with a car company or a computer company, et cetera. And no matter what your technique is, or no matter what your delivery mechanism is, we have a common voice in the world that is about lifetime chiropractic care. And it's working, and it's exciting. And so when you say confidence, it would give people a lot of confidence to have something like that. So they could be the chiropractor and not be a marketer. You know how many chiropractors try to be marketers? They think they're good at it and they suck.
Right. Too many.
Too many.
We get just enough patients to justify mediocrity.
Well, and Eric, I mean, you know, one of your, you know, the same way I think we're sort of labeled as the headspace guys, you know, and there are some people that are the new patient guys or the day one and day two guys. And
Right.
You've always been known as that branding guy and a marketing guy. And the cry of the chiropractor all these years later is still, I need more new patients. Show me how to get more new patients. And their PVA is 9.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then, as you know, you got, depending on the different schools, some of them are really not chiropractic schools from the way we were raised in it. What do you say to the young chiropractor out of school to get them onto a path of the headspace of success and the systems, procedures necessary to be successful in the profession?
Well, it's a great question. And, from a headspace, you guys are helping people create that destiny. You need people that you could rely on, that you could talk to on a regular basis, because how you think about things is really a big part of it. People think they have a new patient problem. You have a thinking problem. You're not thinking about things correctly. You're not in your mind. And so the other part of that is here's the interesting thing about systems. There can be a great system for a PI practice, which would not be a great system for a family practice, which would not be a great system for a lifetime patient practice, which would not be, and vice versa. If you had a fast food restaurant, and you could have a great system for a restaurant like that, but if you had a high-end restaurant, you couldn't apply. Maybe you could apply some business principles, but they're different systems. If you have somebody that's in and out in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, ordering a number 1, 2, or 3, it's a totally different system than if somebody's going to stay for 2 hours and spend $250 a head. So I think what's important for people to understand is you have to decide who you want to be. And that's an easy decision. From our perspective, we're easy. If you want to practice filled with lifetime patients, you should look at the 100-year lifestyle. The system that we have created for that is a system that is great for that. Sucks at PI. Great for that. Now, we attract PI patients. The PI patients that we attract are lifetime patients that get in car accidents and don't want to go anywhere else. And so, but what's interesting is that when you settle into the niche of something like that, a great system, like for us in a 100-year lifestyle world, it's a no report of findings necessary system. People come in already wanting that because it's branded that way. You wouldn't be attracted to that if you weren't looking at least for some version of that. And it doesn't mean that you can't just be coming for crisis care for a pain or a problem. I think that's the misconception in a lifetime care practice. You see it, you guys got lots of lifetime patients. A lot of these people that become lifetime patients, they came in with problems, pain, symptoms, conditions of all kinds. They just didn't want to get rid of it for the day or the week or for the month. They wanted to get it out of their life so they could live a great life. And so when you brand things in the way that you want them to be, then you're a magnet for exactly what you want to have. And we have people that during COVID, the last 6 months, we just put on the 100YLP, 100YL providers website or the familypractice.net website. You go there and you'll see the reviews. There's people there that are, $1 million practices, people first year out collecting over $120,000 and, netting, I should say, $120,000. And how do you do that? You do that, you get clarity and a clear vision. And if you don't know what that clear vision is, you need to get that clarity, because your destiny will not happen until you get that clarity. Your destiny will be wandering in circles, spinning your wheels, going on a roller coaster ride, round and round and round. And it's a process. And I think, like you guys know this because you help people with this, is that, you have to be committed to the journey. A lot of these kids, don't you see it where everybody wants it now?
100%. And the challenge that we see is that I always ask a chiropractor when we first take them on as a client, we talk about that. What do you want? What do you want your practice to look like? If you could wave a magic wand and have your dream practice, what would it be? So number one, they struggle to define what it is. And then number two is I say, typically they would say, yeah, I want lifetime wellness patients. Okay. Well, how often do you get adjusted? Once a month. So there's so many incongruencies.
Yeah.
What they say they want and what they're willing to do about it. And a lot of chiropractors, because of fear, lack of communication skills, and a few other things, again, back to this headspace stuff, is that they will not confront a patient and tell them what they need, right? They always, backpedal, default to, what do I think they're willing to do? And you can't build a practice that way when you lack certainty and the potential patient, and you haven't branded yet, let's say, and the patient is more certain about why they shouldn't be there or the number of times versus why you think they should. Whoever has more certainty influences the other, right?
No question. That's very well said and a very important point. And, the thing about, I think, for younger doctors and really for anybody, right? Congruency is a journey. Yep. It is not a destination.
Right.
Anybody that tells you they got it all figured out is not learning, and that's a problem. I could tell you that for me, with the work that we're doing, when you climb different ladders and different levels, the learning accelerates. We used to say when we did seminars on a regular basis, and we do training calls and things like that still for our affiliates, and it's one thing, you start out, you get started, you're taking notes like crazy, and you got like 20 pages of notes on an hour call, right? And then a year goes by and you got 1 page of notes. And then you get to the point 3 years later, you write down one thing, and that one thing takes you further than that full page and 20 pages of notes. So, there's no shortcut to that. People always say, and I used to be that person, hey, what's the shortcut? How can I get there faster? And here's the answer to that question. Don't quit. Stay engaged. There is no shortcut. You got to be willing to engage, and you got to be willing to learn, and you got to be willing to grow, and you got to be willing to make some mistakes and understand that congruency is a journey. If you wait till you have 100% congruency and 100% certainty to really start, man, you quit now. because, you know, you're going to be miserable. That is a miserable life.
Right.
So you have sort of adapted and changed and grown the 100-year lifestyle as the world has changed, as, I mean, you were sort of pre-internet even, and then obviously now in the social media age. Kimberly just put up the link to 100yearlifestyleproviders.com. What do you think is the future right now as to whether it's COVID, non-COVID, whatever? What does the future look like of the profession?
Wow, we just, you know, we have a special offering right now for your people and for everybody. We put together Chiro 125, Chiropractic's 125th anniversary social media marketing campaign that is world-class, where we don't sell it normally because we just don't. It's a part of our marketing vault, but we will sell it to any chiropractor that wants to use it for $125. Are you kidding me? It's 22 world-class video-based social media posts with all the captions filled out. They have the 100-year lifestyle on it with a place for you to just insert your logo and go for it. It's like a no-brainer price. It's ridiculous. You can get it on this 100wildproviders.com website.
Awesome.
And the question that you asked me is, where are we going from here? Couple of things. It's never been a better time. This is an amazing time to be a chiropractor. I was thinking about this as I was preparing for this particular marketing campaign, putting it together, thinking about a lot of different things. And we'll have an article coming out on 100yearlifestyle.com about this within a week. If you think about it, we were quacks 50 years ago, 40 years ago. We were getting licensure 60, 70, 80 years ago. We formed our first college 100 years ago. In 1903, Thomas Edison had a quote, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine in 1903, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame and diet and the cause and prevention of disease." You know, fast forward going back towards the present, we had this, you know, doctor of the quack, chiropractors were quacks. I got on Quack Watch very early in my career, I must say. I'm very proud of that.
You're one of the
Yeah. And so, but now here we are. Now we are in a position where during this whole COVID crisis, we have become essential healthcare providers.
That's right.
So, I mean, that's a massive shift. I was thinking about this. I get chills thinking about this. I don't know if you've seen this movie, 1986, The Act. Amazing documentary. You have to watch it. Everybody watching has to watch it. It's called 1986, The Act. Okay. And the act was in 1986 when the drug companies, the Congress passed a law that got the drug companies off the hook from liability related to vaccines. Changed the world for the worse. The healthcare system crumbled after that. Yep. Autism skyrocketed, autoimmune conditions skyrocketed. Well, I was in school when that was going on. When 1982, 1983, 1984, 1985, when you had the political battles over this act being passed, taking away this liability. And at the time they wanted to take away vaccine exemptions. And you'll see why I'm getting to this and how this all fits together. So they passed this law in 1986. In 1987, everything went to hell because of this law. The drug companies went out of control. And what was interesting the next year, which you hardly heard about, but we heard about it, was the Will case was settled in 1987. Right. Where we won, where the judge said, hey, this is going to hurt the chiropractic profession for decades, this slander, this, you know, what the AMA was doing to try to eliminate the chiropractic profession. This was a very tumultuous time when you think about in 1982, 83, 84, 85, and this law, this act was being passed. We're in the middle of this lawsuit with the AMA. You know why we were in the middle of this lawsuit? We were like the #1 opponents to these mass vaccinations. I didn't put 2 and 2 together until just recently when I realized that here we are, we just became essential healthcare providers. And in 1986 was the act, and now in front of our very eyes, hopefully we're aware of it, because most chiropractors are not aware of it. Most people are not aware of it. We're right in the middle of the coup. If 1986 was the act, This is the coup.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? They're trying to remove every exemption, take over the world. Everybody has to have it. You don't get it. You can't travel. You can't get on a plane. You can't go to a park. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't leave your house.
Right.
And so we are right in the middle of it, yet we just became essential healthcare providers.
Right.
I think it is a time, you said at the beginning where I'm, talked about this guy with the mask. This is not about a mask. This is about, we are at a critical crossroads. And as chiropractors, as healthcare providers, as essential healthcare providers, we need to use this platform to speak our truth more than ever without compromise. And as a chiropractor, if your truth is different than my truth, leave me alone, man, because you don't want to mess with me. You don't want to mess with the Marxin Axelrod clan, because the reality of it is we are moving forward. We have to take chunks and chunks and chunks of market share. The 100-year lifestyle is booming. We are right in the ballpark of 2 million page views this year. We're really excited about it. It's growing. We're referring people to chiropractors all over the place, even people that are not affiliated with us, because we just don't have enough people in enough places yet with using this brand and this package, but we are expanding it. We want more people. We've priced it so we can all benefit. We can all win. It's priced right. People ask me, how do you make it so inexpensive, Plasker? Because for 20 years, we've helped over 7,000 chiropractors, probably more like 10,000, because our system just started like 12 years ago, and we were doing it way before that. And we've never wavered from our vision. So we just keep adding tools and technologies without having to change the price. And we're humble servants of the profession. We got work to do. And so when you understand the critical nature of this time, it takes people like me, people that have been doing this a while. People say, Plasker, how come you're so passionate even now? I said, how could I put at this critical time in history when my kids and maybe your kids and the kids that I speak to at Life University that are becoming chiropractors, how could we abandon them? We cannot abandon them. We have to lead. This younger generation needs leadership more than ever. And I see it with father, son, mother, daughter, father, daughter, sibling, parent practices. The parents abandon the kids too soon. They need leadership. And we have to understand that if we don't provide that leadership, they're not going to get it anywhere else. You guys are providing that great leadership, so it's important that we all step it up at this critical time, not be lazy and get to the people.
So what do you say to the chiropractors that are coming out of some of these schools that are really not great philosophically based? In fact, no philosophical basis whatsoever. Betty Proctors, that's all they know. And now all of a sudden they see a guy like you, they see us, because they're struggling in practice. And they don't even realize why they're struggling in practice, number one. And then number two is, I had a guy in my office just today, a chiropractor that's been in practice for a number of years. We do care plans and all that stuff. We had a couple of prepays and a couple of quarterlies, whatever. So we collected a ton of money today. And he said, his first comment was, I don't understand. All these years I've been in practice, I can't figure it out. And here you guys are doing prepays with the economy as bad as it is. I can't figure it out. And I said, well, that's the problem.
Yeah. Listen, if you don't know, like we talked about earlier, pride is dangerous. You should take pride in your work, but you shouldn't have pride to not ask for support and ask for help. And there's no shame in reaching out.
Right.
I think that's so important that, there have been times where, listen, everybody gets wounded. Yeah. Everybody gets wounded. You got to lick your wounds. But, don't suck your thumb. Be a fast learner. Get over it quickly. Get strong and courageous. You mentioned fear earlier. There's some great articles on 100yearlifestyle.com right now on fear. One of them is called The Epidemic of Fear. Mm-hmm. These are for the public, but of course the chiropractor can benefit. 100%. It's very philosophical. You can dig in at 100yearlifestyle.com, read those articles, share them with patients, and you'll say, hey, what do you think of this article to a patient? Be like, damn, this is good. And they'll be like, then the chiropractor will say, okay, maybe I should read it. Or people that are listening to our podcast and they really get a lot out of it. They talk to you, they get a lot. Fear, be courageous. Be like the Lion and the Wizard of Oz. Have some courage, have some courage. And, because if you're afraid and you don't act and you let the fear paralyze you, there's only what's like we say in the 100-year lifestyle. If your fear is causing you some level of suffering, there's only one thing worse than suffering, and that's suffering for 100 years. And if it is perpetual suffering, if you don't make a change now, then you are perpetuating your own suffering. And that is on you. It's not on anybody else. There's no shame. There's no shame. Come on, in not knowing. How could you, if you're new in practice and you're new in business,
Oh, it's freezing up.
how do you expect yourself to know that have been in practice? Their kids get in practice with them, and they'll say, I have a hard time connecting with my son, getting him to understand. I said, well, listen, you don't even remember how much you learned. You don't remember what you learned all along the way. You forgot it. It's just a part of you now.
Right.
So you're going to have to go back. And that's why they would hire you, to help work with their son, or they plug people into a 100-year lifestyle or something, because the doctor to go back and try to remember everything he learned, first of all, he probably won't remember everything. Second of all, it's going to drive him out of his mind. He'd rather go play golf, or she'd rather go for a run or a walk or a hike, so to be able to have the support, there's no shame in reaching out.
Well, it's funny because the tagline that Brett and I finish every recording is that there's nothing we wouldn't do to help a chiropractor. And whether they're members of ours or not, we're always open for a phone call or a chat or whatever we can do to reach back and help. The same way you still work at the school to try to help get these chiros ready for success in the profession and love in the profession. I was talking to a young student that was a patient of mine. They said, the way you really judge your success in the profession is not by the size of your practice, but how many people you sent back to chiropractic college. So one of these young ladies is in practice, in school now. And we were talking, and I said, if I had to go back right now and do it all again, I wouldn't even hesitate, right? And unfortunately, that that's not necessarily true for a lot of chiros. They're not having the experience we have. And it's sad to us and frustrating. And as you said, we grew up, the three of us, sitting in seminars, hungry for change, hungry for growth, hungry for success philosophy, hungry to be the best version of ourselves. And therefore, we were willing to put ourselves out on the limb. We were willing to make change. We were willing to try something. We were willing to fail and dust ourselves off and get up again and try it again. And that was sort of the beauty of it. It was almost the learn as you go, and you had your friends and your mentors, and you call Eric and like, dude, that was the worst report of fitness I ever gave. You're like, dude, get back in there. You're getting back, whatever it is. And it was almost a game. It was almost just the fun of learning on your feet and learning as we went, because we were so at least wrapped in that we knew we were on the right track. We knew we were in the right place. And like you said, of all our clients, when we're listening back and we're looking at stats, I would say at least half of our members have broken their all-time record during COVID.
Yeah. And it's a tribute to what you guys are doing. And it's also, what is exciting. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. People are hungry for leadership. I give this talk at Life University on this Friday night. It's on the 100-year lifestyle and chiropractic care. It's to prospective students and their families. And it's a great team that puts this together. It's an amazing event if you haven't been there. And because they're being brought into an environment of service and the desperate need for leadership. And I have said for years that our world is in desperate need of new healthcare leadership. So one of the reasons why people that are working, like you're talking about working, is that we have a world that is in desperate need of new healthcare leadership. It is obvious to a lot more people every single day that the allopathic world is creating a sick and suffering world, that it's killing people left and right. It's creating drug addicts, surgeries, opioid addicts, suicides on the rise. And, we can go on. And the leadership is terrible. It's like, they've been fooled by pharma. It's the cartel, we can use all kinds of different words, and all of them are accurate. The medical militia, there's just so many different ways to describe it. And all of that is true. It is 100% true. And it is worse than it has ever been. So yes, it was a game to us, and we wanted to win the game. And here's the thing about the game, that underneath us playing that game, which is why I love you guys so much and we've been friends for so long, is that underneath the playing of that game, to keep it exciting, passionate, and interesting, we know that lives are at stake. We know there are that lives are at stake. I mean, you see these neurologically damaged kids more. I gave a talk. I think one thing that really is unique about how I like to work is I love being in front of earthlings, ordinary earthlings. I love talking to non-chiropractic earthlings. I love chiropractors, don't get me wrong. But I think what makes me and keeps me extremely relevant is my hunger to be in front of earthlings. And I remember a couple of years ago, I gave a talk. I was invited to be a keynote speaker at the high school near my house. It's where my kids went. And so I knew a lot of the coaches. I was the team chiropractor for our state championship soccer team. And, I took care of the state championship cross-country people and all that when I was in full-time practice. And so I hadn't been back there in a while. And I finally went back and I gave this talk. Well, it was called the Raider Pride event. It was for the top students in the school. They won all kinds of different awards. So I gave my talk. After my 10-minute talk, they invited me to just stand on the edge of the stage and just greet everybody as they came up on the stage. And guys, I got to tell you, the heartbreak, seeing these kids come onto the stage, you could not even believe how many neurologically damaged kids. You can see it in the drooping of an eye, the drooping of a mouth, imbalanced facial expression, bit of maybe a tremor when they're going to shake, tripping up the stairs, just so many different ways that this neurological damage is showing itself. And it is a crime, number one. It is a shame, going back to what we talked about, the coup that is happening right now. Chiropractors, you better get your ass out there. Do not be a lazy ass. You need to speak up. You need to get out there and make a difference. And you can, because people are in desperate need of healthcare leadership. And I left there and I was inspired by the relationships and the difference that I felt like I made. And I was hungrier than ever because of the damage that happened. And, I had a situation, a woman who was getting great results. And she said and her family was coming. And she said to me, hey, you know what, Dr. Plasker, I have this friend who their daughter's 5 years old and she's going to go in for ear infections. And would you mind checking her? Would you help? You think you would help? I said, sure, I'd love to. And she never brought the kid in. They never came in and I never followed up on it. And her name was Honey. And that was her real name. And then about a month went by, Honey comes back in and she says, she comes in for adjustment. Honey, whatever happened to that little girl that you said had the tubes and that was going to have tubes? I never saw her. And she said, well, I didn't tell you. Yeah, she went in for the procedure and she had a reaction to the anesthesia and died. 5-year-old girl. And, I take responsibility for that. That is on me. I dropped the ball. I should have called. And, things like that, there's not a lot, thank God. But, there's the other side where I've made those calls and saved some lives. And so you do a little bit of that each way and you say, okay, this is my life. I get to choose. I'm going to live with constant regret, or I'm going to live with making the biggest difference that I can for as many people as possible. And now to be able to duplicate that success all over the world without even being there because people are given a common message makes me want to do more every single day.
As we come to the conclusion, it's getting late. A couple thoughts come to mind as you've been talking. And first of all, a few things I just want to sum up. One, I love the branding of the 100-year lifestyle. I love branding yourself as a chiropractor to who you are. I think what we coach chiropractors on, because this is a lot of what we've learned, one, being a professional coach and being a chiropractor for all these years, Rick and I have done this. We work with chiropractors and people, they come to us and Well, I want more new patients. I just want to grow my practice. I want more money, blah, 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 blah. That's the byproduct. But from tonight, when we talk to someone like you, passionate about what they do, on purpose, on fire, will not take no for an answer. Good enough is not good enough. And so these are the concepts I think that a lot of chiropractors have to start to think about who they are. In other words, why did you become a chiropractor in the first place? Did you forget that? What is your purpose? You know, why did you decide to become a chiropractor? What's your value system? What's most important to you? Because that's what has to drive you, you know, and if it's to really help people, then you have to be willing, even if you're in fear, even if it's painful, you have to learn communication skills. Yes. You have to learn systems, procedures. Yes. Marketing. Yes. You have to learn those things. It's part of practice. But what has to transcend that is your purpose, your values, your passion, and your willingness to step up, step out of your comfort zone and say, as you said before, if I don't do this, if I don't call a patient, if I don't confront the patient, not in a bad way, who will? If it's not me, then who? If it's not now, then when? When is this going to happen?
It's so true.
No longer good enough. It can't be acceptable, right?
Yeah, and one thing that I would say and you know this, is that it's not linear. It's not like you have to do this and then you got to do this. I mean, yes, that's part of it, but the reality of it is, and this is why we're such good friends, is, you know, if you really want to find yourself, you have to find yourself in service. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just a theory. Right. You know, you're not going to find all the answers in your phone. You can't just be a theory. At some point, you got to become a reality. You got to take what you're learning and you got to take this purpose, even if you're not clear about it, just take it out for yourself in service. And then you really advance when you get punched in the nose a few times and you realize that you made some mistakes and that you survived, or you get a win and you're like, wow, that was awesome.
You get stronger.
You know, and so listen, to get here, 35, it took me 57 years of life and 35 years in practice, in business, multiple businesses, being a healthcare entrepreneur to get here.
But people don't see that. They only see the finished product, which is you now, but they don't see the blood, sweat, and tears and all the years you put in and all the times you got knocked down and picked yourself up and dusted yourself off. And you still probably do occasionally. You just do it faster where no one sees you get knocked down anymore, right?
Yeah. And you know, and I tell my kids that too. I wish you could have seen me when I was your age. I was screwed up, man.
You're maniacs.
Yeah.
Well, again, so listen, I just remember seeing you all those years ago. I'm out of school 25 years, 26 years, something like that. Brett, I think you're 28 or 29 years, something like that. Yeah. And, you know, you were just as hungry back then as you are now, which from a healthcare leadership standpoint, or just specifically a chiropractic leadership standpoint, if people are watching, if they want to pick up anything from you, just pick up the fact that you're still on fire. And that at the end of it, you're gonna leave a legacy. This is not about throwing a couple dollars into the bank, and it's not about, you know, what'd you see last week. This is about a legacy. This is about changing lives. This is legitimate stuff. They closed the lid on you, and you're proud of what you've created over your lifetime and the generations that follow. That's what this is about for you. It always has been. That's what it's about for us, and always reaching back to help chiropractors that aren't as successful as you know they could be. So we always recommend that you follow Eric, listen to Eric, whatever he's putting out, you should drink up. Go to the 100ylproviders.com. Yep. You know, look at the 100-year lifestyle stuff. Take advantage of the social media marketing for the 125th anniversary. And when you have chiros that we're friendly with, that we all sort of ascribe to the same success philosophies, and we love chiropractic, there's enough information out there to help you to get as successful as you want in every aspect of your life, in your practice, in your health, in your marriage, in your personal finance, in your personal life, your relationship with your kids. You don't waste time reinventing it. Just connect and hook up. And like you said, be proud of yourself enough to reach out and ask for help when you need it.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Those absolutely are all the messages.
And I'll say too that, you know, we have a good synergy here. We do not duplicate what each other does. We don't one-on-one coach anymore. You guys are great at that. And I'm going to just truthfully tell people that are watching, these guys are great friends. They're great people. And there is, with social media, there are a lot of Facebook superheroes out there. You know what a Facebook superhero is? I'll tell you. And I know a superhero. They don't have a house. They live out of their car. They don't have clothes. They're naked. They're on their computer and they're giving advice to chiropractors. I call them Facebook superheroes. They're naked, living out of their car. They're behind on alimony payments, and they're giving you advice on what you should do.
Right, perfect.
Don't listen to those guys. Listen to these guys.
At least you have a house.
Right. Actually, not even a house. It's a cardboard wall.
And if you want a highly productive website that's co-branded your own personal brand and 100-year lifestyle, we can provide that for you. It's very content friendly. If you want an entire marketing barrage that is just fantastic, that has got becoming a least vulnerable person, pediatrics, sports team marketing, things like that, we have a barrage of that you could call. You just put your name on it and go to work. And it's like 1/10 of the price that people are paying, like ridiculous fees for internet marketing, getting the worst kind of patients and the wrong kind of patients. That's taking them they're spending an extra 20 hours in the office to get an extra one patient to commit to care because they were never the right people in the first place.
Right.
So we have great attraction, new patient stuff. So with the great headspace, it's a great synergy, and we're just honored to be friends and still just loving each other, serving the same purpose in this way.
And I'll close in this. We can only hope and pray that we get to see you live and in person very soon. We've shared the stage so many times. We've been in hotel restaurants. We've been in airports together. Yeah. And those are some great times growing up in chiropractic and reaching back and helping as many. So I can't thank you enough for joining us, for doing what you do. I know this is certainly not the last of being together. Congratulations on your child's wedding coming up.
Thank you.
And your child's new practice coming, just opening in Marietta. And in Oregon. It's awesome, man. We're excited for you. Everything you're doing. Can't thank you enough, buddy.
My pleasure, man. And same to you guys. Great reconnecting, and keep up the great work. Our people need you.
You got it.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.